Are you a simp or do you know one? You might be wondering if it's just harmless admiration or a sign of a deeper problem. Join us as we dive into the world of simping and try to figure out if it's just a silly trend or a serious mental disorder. And of course, we give you some well-known examples of simping that went horribly wrong. But first, let's define what a simp is. According to the Urban Dictionary, a simp is someone who does way too much for a person they like. It's someone who is overly generous with their time, money, and attention in hopes of gaining the affection of their crush. This behavior is often associated with men who engage in such actions towards women. But where do we draw the line between being a simp and just being a kind person? Now, the question arises, if simping is a mental disorder? To answer that, we need to understand what constitutes a mental disorder. According to the DSM-5, a mental disorder is defined as a clinically significant disturbance in an individual's cognition, emotion regulation, or behavior that reflects a dysfunction in the psychological, biological, or developmental processes underlying mental functioning. Based on this definition, it's unclear whether simping meets the criteria for a mental disorder. Simping may be seen as maladaptive behavior, but it does not necessarily reflect a dysfunction in psychological, biological, or developmental processes. However, some researchers argue that simping could be a symptom of underlying mental health issues such as low self-esteem, social anxiety, and attachment disorders. So, does simping reflect a mental disorder or is it just a result of poor social skills? Let's explore some of the potential causes of simping. One possibility is that simping is a result of a lack of healthy attachment styles. According to attachment theory, individuals who have a secure attachment style are more likely to have healthy relationships and are less likely to engage in unhealthy behaviors such as simping. On the other hand, individuals who have insecure attachment styles, such as anxious or avoidant attachment, are more likely to engage in maladaptive behaviors such as simping. Another potential cause of simping is low self-esteem. People with low self-esteem may engage in behaviors such as simping in order to feel validated or important. By excessively praising or idolizing someone, they may feel a sense of purpose or belonging. However, not everyone agrees that simping is a result of underlying mental health issues. Some argue that simping is simply a product of our culture, where men are socialized to view women as objects of desire rather than as individuals with their own thoughts and feelings. In this view, simping is seen as a reflection of societal norms rather than as a psychological disorder. So, what do we make of all this? Does simping reflect a mental disorder, or is it just a result of poor social skills or societal norms? The truth is, we don't have a definitive answer. Simping may reflect a psychological disorder in some cases, but it may also be a product of societal norms or poor social skills. However, regardless of whether or not simping is a mental disorder, it's clear that it can be a harmful behavior. Excessively praising or idolizing someone can lead to unhealthy relationships, codependency, and even stalking in extreme cases. Up next, we have a few famous examples of simping gone wrong. One of the most well-known cases of simping gone sour is that of John Hinckley Jr., who attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan in 1981. Hinckley had become obsessed with actress Jodie Foster after seeing her in the movie Taxi Driver, and began writing her letters and making phone calls. He even enrolled in Yale University, Foster's alma mater, in an attempt to get closer to her. When his attempts to impress Foster failed, Hinckley decided to impress her by shooting the president. Hinckley was found not guilty by reason of insanity and was committed to a mental hospital, where he remained for several decades. Another infamous example is that of Elliot Rodger, who carried out a mass shooting in Isla Vista, California, in 2014. Rodger had become obsessed with the idea of having a girlfriend, and became enraged when he was rejected by women. In a series of YouTube videos and a manifesto, Rodger expressed his hatred for women and his desire for revenge against those who had rejected him. He went on to kill 6 people and injure 14 others before taking his own life. While Rodger's actions were undoubtedly driven by a complex mix of factors, his obsession with women and his sense of entitlement to their affection certainly played a role. A more recent example is that of YouTuber James Charles, who has been accused of using his fame and influence to manipulate and exploit young men. Charles, who has over 25 million subscribers on YouTube, has been accused of sending inappropriate messages to minors. pressuring men into sexual situations, and using his power to silence those who speak out against him. While Charles denies many of the allegations against him, the controversy has raised questions about the role of simping in celebrity culture and the potential harm it can cause. These are just a few examples of how simping can go wrong, but they highlight the dangers of becoming too obsessed with another person and losing touch with reality. While most simps may never go to such extreme lengths, it's important to recognize that simping can be a sign of underlying mental health issues that need to be addressed. So, if you or someone you know is struggling with simping or other obsessive behaviors, it's important to seek help from a qualified mental health professional. In conclusion, while the question of whether or not simping reflects a mental disorder is still up for debate, what is clear is that it can be a harmful behavior that can negatively impact both the simp and the person being idolized. We should strive to develop healthy relationships and avoid engaging in maladaptive behaviors such as simping. Thank you for watching. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below.